Sanbanani guys, welcome back to yet another video, and we are speaking about the latest episode of Queendom. So guys, this episode starts off with Umanrovu. She is sitting in the boardroom on her chair, the kingship's chair, Isala Sobukosi, and she is sitting there with Ebo. But Ebo is sitting on the table like a spoiled brat, and they are basically chewing on some fruits, having a conversation. So Manrovu is saying to Ebo, Yazim Ebo, Bani Vele Ongamela, like basically who will be willing to stand in and represent ukamahlangu, who can umbani velo ngamela isek amkwako isfana nokamahlangu. And I was like, angazi vele ukuthi abangani, like what was she even thinking of, even requesting or thinking that there'd be someone who'd be willing to represent her. Anyway, while bekhuluma kanjalo guys, there by the door where Onokata was standing, Untando comes in and she enters and she's greeting them guys. She's like, Sanbonan ninjani, katangan cleaner. Like she seems so happy. I guess the request that Tukamashango had for Untando to come and represent her, I guess Untando's granting that request. So anyway, Untando goes on to say to the securities, impahla zami, like my clothes, ekamereni lami, like that is sorted. I asked them to put that away. So she enters. While she's entering, they basically still having a conversation about tukamahlangu. Still saying, abangano. Untando comes in. Remember now, when Untando's coming in, the person who can see her is Umandlovu. But the way was sitting on the table and is facing his mother, so he can't see Untando approaching. So Untando comes in and she's like, Sanbonan. And then Umabo just sees his mother's eyes widening up, and she just stops, chewing, and her eyes widen up to think, like, who is this standing here? And then Ebo turns back because, he probably recognized the voice and the facial expression. So, I was like, Ufunan lana wena, like, what do you want? Mangrove was like, singaksizangan. Untando goes on to say, ukuthi ngiyaxolisa ngivele ngitheleke nje kanje. Umcebo goes on to say, yini, like ufunani, as if he's so irritated, you guys, to see her here. Untando goes on to say to Umcebo, like, good to see you too. Bengizosho ukuthi that I'll be representing ukamahlangu in the trial. Manrovu looks at Umcebo because this is exactly like what they were talking about, and they were basically saying who will be willing to stand for Kamahlangu, kanti here Untando is. So Manrovu looks at Umcebo and she's just like, ow, like speechless. Untando goes on to say, yeah, but bengithi nginazise. I was just here to let you guys know. And then she says, when our manzi, she walks off, and Ebo and his mother are just left stunned with nothing to say. Anyway, guys, we see the next scene of Ukamahlangu and Utaluqolo. They are in their dungeon at jail in Kashamba. They are sitting in that small room, but it looks like Utaluqolo, guys, he hasn't been taken. Yes, his privileges have been taken away, but he's not locked up in there. I guess because his kingship, or his royalty, so maybe that's why he doesn't deserve that treatment. But she married into the family, so maybe that's why that's the case. So anyway, Amahlang was like, not even like like not even a small change, a simen came. Utaluqolo goes on to say, I lutho nje usenjalo uwamazi, nothing has changed. Ukamahlangu, guys, her only fate at this point, the only thing that can really help her is if Ubanzi just wakes up, honestly, because Ubanzi will definitely save her, no doubts about that. Ukamahlangu goes on to say, like ngiyaphinda ngiyasho ukuthi lento nje doesn't make sense. Lo muntu bekaphila, then jiggy like this happens esithubeni. Utaluqolo goes on to say ukuthi yazi leli cala leli alinangqondo nje. awubuke nje like bangiphuca ama-privilege wami, bangiphuca amalungelo ami. Like, it doesn't make sense. That's what Darren is saying. I'm saying it makes sense, but anyway, even like, you know what's funny about Darren and Nukamashangu? They are acting so delusional. Because like at the end of the day, they know they're all guilty of the crime that they are that's been suspected of them. They're all guilty, guys. But the way they're going about it, yes, then we know I was just using this as a way just to be spiteful because he's evil. But at the end of the day, they are guilty. So Talukalo, I mean, like maybe Mputa his privileges. Like, isn't that the right thing to do if a person is undergoing a trial like this? Anyway, asikho lapho. Kamahlangu goes on to say ukuthi cabanga if bakwenza kanjalo, like cabanga wena you royalty and they treating you kanjalo, mina ke like what will they do to me? Danukalo goes on to say kumanje nje kumele ngiqashe imoto yazini. Kamahlangu goes on to say ukuthi ngiyafisa ingathi inkosi ilulame izolingisa wonke lo msangano nje umsangano wonke lo. Yes, umsangano, but the thing is, Ubanzi, he understood that his wife has a soulmate. But I'm just like, oh, Amashlangu, imagine, guys, she is loved by the king because, I mean, she is the king's favorite wife. And then Stelutalo Kola, that's like the king's second hand. Anyway, Utaluqalo goes on to say ukuthi ngempela umsangano nje, but all of these suspicions they will not stand in the royal courts. That's what he says. As he's saying that, they can hear the door unlocking and uKamahlangu says to Utaluqalo kunomuntu ozayo. So when the person opens, it's Untando, guys, and Ukamahlangu's like, oh, when Untando guys, and she seems so happy even in her voice. Untando goes on to say, Ndlovukazi yamanzi, bows down, looks at Utaluqalo and says, wamanzi. Kamahlangu goes on to say, ukuthi uzosiza ngithi, like, you here to help us like we had discussed on the phone angithi. Untando goes on to say, bunjani Ndlovukazi. So Kamahlangu, she's so excited and she looks at Utaluqalo like in a way like to say, ukuthi, finally help has come our way. Utaluqalo goes on to say, oh, osazana, ngiyabonga, kodwa mina angeke ngiludingo usizo lwakho ukuthi ungimele, kodwa ke ungaqhubeka ummele uKamahlangu, like you can continue standing for Kamahlangu, but I'm not going to need your help. Kamahlangu goes on to say, hi bo Taluqalo kanjani manje? Taluqalo goes on to say, cha, nginawo amandla mina to represent myself in this trial. And Untando goes on to say, I mokunjalo bengicela ushiye bengicela umzuzwana to speak with my client. I get to Utaluqalo's point because guys, Utaluqalo, he's very educated. He is well knowledged about the things zasebukhosini. So he does actually have a good and a better chance to actually stand for himself. Anyway, we see Untando, she's walking up the stairs. Now she's at the royal house. She's walking up the stairs, and when she's walking up the stairs, she bumps into Ebo. So Ebo's like, usitholaphi isibindi sokuvela utheleke lana, like, girl, usithathaphi isibindi after I threatened wena noma wakho kanjalo. And then Untando goes on to say, sawubona nawe mzala. Hey, Ebo goes on to say, umzala wobunuka, like anginitshelanga wena noma wakho ukuthi anginifuni la eKhahlamba, anginitshelanga le ndawo ayifanele umuntu onjengawe, like this place is not for people like you. Untando goes on to say, umuntu onjengami umuntu onjani mhlampe lo, umuntu ongathuswa wena mhlampe, or umuntu ongakusadi. Yeah, and while she's saying that, guys, she's moving closer to able to show him that, listen, I am not faced by all of these words that you are saying, but girl, you should be. But anyway, Ebo says to Untando, ayise ntombazana, ngiyaxwayisa ntombazana ndini, awunamsebenzi ngezindaba zaseKhahlamba. Like basically, you have no business entering like the royal court and indaba zalana and the business that's going on lana. Like uyangizwa, do you hear me? Untando goes on to say, uthi sisakhuluma kanjalo or sisakhuluma ngemisebenzi. She's saying that while looking out the window, iclient lami selifikile bokumnandi ukukhuluma nawe mzala kodwa I have to go and I don't want to waste your time. But so mekakhuluma nge-client like angazi ukuthi if she's speaking about uKamahlangu, uKamahlangu has been brought in, or she's speaking, I was guessing that, or maybe someone that she's representing, I don't know. So Ebo goes on to say ukuthi wena kahle kahle uzimisela ukuthatha isihlalo sobukhosi, yeah? I'm just like in Ebo's head, guys, every time. Everything is that umuntu wants to take his so because that's how obsessed he is with the throne. Like, I mean, Untando has shown many times she doesn't want nothing to do with the throne. If anything, she had a good enough chance to fight for her. But in Abozid, everyone wants Lesashlado just because he is willing to do anything for it. Untando goes on to say, the real question is, yini like unovalo, like yini wabanovalo lungaga, like yini uthukile. Hey guys, that's how he looks like uthukile ngempela, because he's not used to people speaking to him like this. Abo goes on to say ngithukile nthuswa yini mina. Untando goes on to say, well mzala, you'll get what's coming to you. And she just walks off and but just turns, but you can see that he is shaken by the bravery Gandandum. Anyway, Untando comes before Umandlovu, her office, and Untando comes in with Utalung and basically Umandlovu's looking at them like with that I would in Funan Lan. She says to them, anyway, Untando goes on to say ukuthi bengicela Ndlovukazi yamanzi bengicela ukuthi can I please get permission to see the king? She looks at them and she's like angithandi, like the type of thing like angifuni and I don't even need to explain myself. Haybo Mandlovu goes on to say ukuthi inkosi is not allowed to be seen by just anyone. Umyalelo was sent out that, and it was announced for everyone to hear that not anyone's allowed to see the king. So mekungekho kunye bengicela ukuthi ningikhulule ngibhizi bandla. Usho uMandlovu dismissing Untando's request. Utalung Aloge, I see what Untando did there. She brought in Utalung Alo because she knew Talung Alo knows the ins and outs of the laws, you guys, and he was the only person who could possibly challenge the words Amandlovu. Because Umandlovu, basically at this point, she's doing things according to her own decisions. But it was a very wise thing to bring Talung Alo with her because she could have came alone. Utalung Alo goes on to say ukuthi uqolo Ndlovukazi not ukuthi ngizama ukudelena. With all due respect, Untando is not just anyone. She is royalty, and sonke we know that she's royalty. So basically meaning ukuthi Untando unalo ilungelo lokubona inkosi because she's royalty. I get Umandlovu goes on to respond and she's like, I get as the regent of Ukashamba, basically saying because kuphethe mina manje yimi engine final say, and because kukhulume mina ngisathi hayi ngisathi cha, like angithandi angifuni. Hey, Utalukalo goes on to say like nginkulu inhlonipho wena wamanzi, with all due respect, if the king if inkosi was conscious, would he not wish to see Untando? Now that was a very difficult question because she knows very well the king would have probably, before the king before he had this episode, the person he wanted to actually put in charge was Untando. So there's no way Mandlovu would have said no to the king, wouldn't have seen Untando if he was conscious. So the question then becomes, so if the king was conscious and he wanted to see, he would have wanted to see Untando. What makes you think that now he wouldn't want to see her now that he's not conscious? Etakane guys, ziyabuya uVincent nokhethiwe. Hey guys, While love lives here, it's hectic there. But anyway, Uketiwe comes into the kitchen when Vincent is sitting there looking depressed, and she says to him, "Ukuthi, as the tension between us is suffocating. Like, like, what really is the issue?" UVincent goes on to say, "Uthinking ukuthi lamalanga unemali eningi." Hayibo. Hey guys, anyway, Ketiwe goes on to say, okay, like, like, what should I do? And she's genuinely asking, like, what should I do to resolve this and to resolve how you're feeling? Uvincent goes on to say, like, do you really want to know? Do you really want to know? And Ketiwe goes on to respond and she says, please. UVincent goes on to say, uthi buyisele emuva le mali yonke. Anginandaba, even if you throw le mali emfuneni wasekhahlamba, like, it's not my money, anginandaba nayo, just throw it away. Hi, Bo Vincent. Now Ketiwe is sitting there and she doesn't have an answer because, I mean, what does she say to this request? But when Vincent looks at her and he sees that she's not convinced, he just walks off and she is like amazed with Yaibo. Hi guys, this request got Vincent, I just feel like it's so selfish, very selfish, and I just feel like he needs to get over himself. If he feels like he's not man enough, let him go get a job. But really, I really hope Uketiwe does none of that stupidness that he's asking her to do. Anyway, we see Untando, she meets up with one of the council members, and she's basically, Untando, as a good lawyer, she is trying to gather the evidence. She's meeting up with one of the council members, and she's basically asking for ubufakazi. And this council member is basically saying, "Hey, bo, mina, I've never seen lo bufakazi. Yeah, I don't even know where is it." So Untando goes on to ask Kuti, like, how do you guys proceed to accuse someone of something and even put her in the dungeon, whereas you guys have never seen the proof? The guy goes on to say, "I minangazi. The only thing I know is that the queen is reigning, and what the queen says, because she's currently running the show, goes." Anyway, Danda decides to meet up with the second person. The second person goes on to also say, "I don't have access to the proof, but and the queen would never accuse uKamahlang with no proof." Kusho ukuthi ikhona le proof kodwa anginayo mina. So wena, Ntando, if you really want the proof, stop coming to me. Go to the queen. That's where you're really gonna get the proof. I don't know if Untando is gonna get the proof, but Untando is trying to tell these people, you guys can't be doing things like that. How are you guys accusing a person based off no evidence? The dumb thing about it is that, yes, they're siding with the queen and her son because they are scared of them. But tomorrow, what if it's them? Which means Bonje, if they get on the queen's wrong side or on Umcebo's wrong side, they could basically be going through the same thing that uKamahlangu is going through. We see Louisa Etzakana, she is leaving the house and she is telling Vincent ukuthi seniyahamba. Before she leaves, she gives Vincent some speech ukuthi yazi angihambi because ngiyathanda, like, I'm leaving because I love you. I just think bhuti wami ukuthi you deserve better. Awuboni ukuthi uthola kene, she's using you as a doormat, like ukufihla lezinto. Like, what type of wife is that? What type of marriage is that? Vincent he always tries to defend Uketiwe, you guys, and his marriage. He goes on to say, we're just going through a rough patch. Every marriage goes through hardship. Louisa goes on to say, marriages don't go through hardships. This woman, like, when will you see this woman doesn't love you? Like, she's just using you. I'm sure no baba like corner, like upenduke tunin like for what you've turned out to be, for the man you've turned out to be. I really wish you choose yourself in. I'm like, Louisa, whoa. Well, what about Wena? Do you think your father will be happy for the woman you've turned out to be? Like, Louisa's the last person to be speaking about decisions because the type of man she was in love with, guys, please. But the sad thing is that it looks like Louisa's words are sinking into Vincent because obviously he is not in a good place. Guys, the last scene, which is the showstopper of this episode, is when basically we see Untando going into Ikumbu or whatever it's called, the room, Gabanzi, and she is being escorted by a secure, or not security, but by a guard, which means ke uDalukholo really did convince uMandlovu to get Untando in. So Untando comes in. Untando Ubanzi is obviously still unconscious. Untando starts talking ukuthi yazi, like, you did a lot of evil things. You did a lot of evil things, but one thing I must say, that you did try and rectify the evil things, and therefore ngifuna ukutshela ukuthi, like, angikubambelanga isigugu. I'm not holding a grudge against you. I forgive you for the things that you did to me and my father. Like, ngiyaxolela, I forgive you. She goes on to say ukuthi, with all of that said, bengicela ukuthi ulwe mlondolozi, bengicela ukuthi ulwe wena wamanzi. Like, the battle is not yet over. Fight, like, ilwa, like, don't just give up. Like, yo, guys, and she's crying, saying that while she's crying, as her tear drops, guys, Ubanzi wakes up from unconsciousness, and he's not waking up in a way that he's drowsy. He's waking up, like, you can see Uchilo Muntu, they are up and they are alive. Hey, guys, and the episode ends like that, and it looks like she's about to call for help, or call people. Oh, that is Untando. She's about to call people to tell them ukuthi sekavugile. Guys, this is going to be an interesting one. But basically, Buyani, guys, Umcebo is not going to win. Guys, let's park it there. Tell me your thoughts on this. Please do make sure you like the video. Please do subscribe. It is absolutely for free of charge. And I'll see you guys on the next one.